Long ago, in the magnificent kingdom of Babylon, there lived a man whose faith would be tested in the most terrifying way imaginable. His name was Daniel, and this is the story of how one man's unwavering trust in God became a testimony that echoed through the ages. This is a story about what happens when you're surrounded by danger, when fear whispers in your ear, and when everything seems lost. But most importantly, it's a story about faith that refuses to break. Daniel wasn't just any ordinary man. He had risen to become one of the most powerful officials in the entire Persian Empire under King Darius. But what made Daniel truly special wasn't his position or his wisdom. It was his relationship with the living God. Every single day, 3 times a day, Daniel would climb the stairs to his upper room. There, by the open window that faced Jerusalem, he would kneel and pray to the God of Israel. Rain or shine, whether he was tired or energized, whether things were going well or poorly, Daniel prayed. His faith wasn't a Sunday morning commitment. It was woven into the very fabric of his life, as essential as breathing.
Lord God of heaven, you who have been faithful to me since my youth, I thank you for your steadfast love. Guide me in your truth today. Give me wisdom to serve with integrity, and never let me forget that you alone are God.
But not everyone was happy about Daniel's success. In the shadows of the palace, jealousy was brewing like a poison. 2 high-ranking administrators who had long coveted Daniel's position were meeting in secret.
That Daniel. The king favors him above all of us. He's planning to set him over the entire kingdom. We'll be nothing but servants to a Hebrew foreigner.
We must find something to charge him with. Some crime, some mistake, some scandal. Surely even the perfect Daniel has a secret weakness.
For weeks they searched. They examined every document Daniel signed. They interrogated people he worked with. They followed him through the streets, but they found nothing. Daniel's integrity was like a fortress, impenetrable. His work was flawless. His dealings were honest. His character was beyond reproach.
There must be something. No one is this perfect.
Wait, there is one thing. Have you noticed? Every day, without fail, he prays to his God. 3 times a day, like clockwork. He never misses.
His devotion. That's his weakness. Or rather, we can make it his weakness. If we can't find fault with his work, perhaps we can make his religion a crime.
The next day, the administrators brought their scheme before the king, carefully dressed up as patriotism and respect for the monarch's authority.
O King Darius, live forever. Your loyal administrators, prefects, satraps, and nobles have all agreed. We should establish a royal decree to strengthen your majesty's authority.
What kind of decree?
For the next 30 days, anyone who prays to any god or human being except to you, O king, shall be thrown into the lion's den. This will demonstrate that you are supreme in this land. Let your majesty sign it into law, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed.
King Darius, flattered by this display of loyalty and not realizing the trap being set for his most trusted advisor, agreed. He signed the decree with his royal seal, and according to the unchangeable law of the Medes and Persians, once the king's seal was on it, even the king himself could not revoke it. When Daniel heard about the decree, he faced a choice that would define his legacy forever. He could have compromised. He could have prayed in secret behind closed doors where no one could see. He could have taken a 30-day break from his routine. After all, God would understand, wouldn't he? It was only temporary. It was a matter of survival. But Daniel knew something that his enemies didn't understand. His prayers weren't just a religious ritual or a habit. They were his lifeline to God. They were how he stayed connected to the source of his wisdom, his strength, his integrity. Without that connection, he wouldn't be Daniel anymore. He would be just another administrator playing political games. So Daniel went home, and he did exactly what he had always done. He opened his windows toward Jerusalem, he knelt down, and he prayed to his God, giving thanks just as he had always done. 3 times that day, Daniel prayed with his windows wide open, making no attempt to hide his devotion. It wasn't defiance, it wasn't a political statement, it was simply faith, pure, uncompromising, unwavering faith.
Guards! Seize him! This man has violated the king's decree.
Daniel didn't run. He didn't argue. He had made his choice, and he would face the consequences with the same faith that had sustained him throughout his life.
Your Majesty, this man Daniel has violated your royal decree. 3 times today he has prayed to his God in direct defiance of your command. The law demands he be thrown into the lion's den.
Daniel, no, this cannot be.
You did this deliberately. This decree was never about honoring me. It was about destroying Daniel.
The king spent the entire day trying to find a loophole, a way to save his faithful friend. He consulted with lawyers, begged his counselors for options, searched through every legal precedent. But the law was clear and unchangeable. His own decree had trapped him, and as the sun began to set, he had no choice.
May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you.
The lion's den wasn't just a prison, it was an execution chamber. The Persians kept these beasts hungry and fierce, and they had never failed to devour anyone thrown into their midst. It was a death sentence, plain and simple. As Daniel descended into that darkness, surrounded by the smell of blood and the sound of predators, this was his moment of truth. Would his faith hold? Would God really show up? Or would this be where his story ended in tragedy? But something extraordinary happened, something that defied nature itself. The God whom Daniel served showed up. The Creator who made both man and beast reached into that den and touched the hearts of those lions. Their hunger vanished. Their savage nature was calmed. They lay down around Daniel like a guard of honor, protecting rather than attacking. Daniel wasn't just surviving in that den. He was resting. He was trusting, even surrounded by teeth and claws that could end his life in an instant. Daniel's faith gave him peace that surpassed understanding. Above ground, a stone was rolled over the entrance and sealed with the king's signet. No one could tamper with it. No one could save Daniel now. He was alone in the darkness with the beasts, or so it seemed. Or so it seemed. That night, King Darius couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He sent away his entertainers and refused all comfort. While his kingdom slept, he paced his chambers, haunted by the image of his faithful friend being torn apart by beasts.
Daniel, my friend, may your God, whom you never failed to serve, prove himself mighty this night.
As soon as the first light of dawn touched the sky, the king ran to the lion's den. He hadn't waited for proper dress or royal protocol. He ran with the desperate hope of a man who needed a miracle.
Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?
O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, O king.
Lift him out! Quickly! Lift him out!
When Daniel emerged from that den, there wasn't a mark on him, not a single wound, not even the smell of the lions on his clothes. It was as if he had spent the night in a peaceful garden rather than a den of death. The king's next command was swift and severe. The men who had conspired against Daniel, who had twisted the law for their own wicked purposes, were brought forward, and the very trap they had set for Daniel became their own destruction. The lions, no longer restrained by God's protective hand, showed their true nature. The den that had been a sanctuary for Daniel became a tomb for his enemies. It was a stark reminder that God's protection is selective and purposeful. He saves those who trust in him. Then King Darius issued a new decree, one that would be read in every corner of his vast empire.
I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions.
Daniel's story didn't end that day. He continued to serve the king with honor. He continued to pray 3 times a day by his open window. But something had changed, not in Daniel, but in how everyone saw him. He had become a living testimony to the faithfulness of God. So what does Daniel's story mean for us? What do we do when we're surrounded by pressure, by fear, by impossible choices, by people who want to see us fail? What do we do when our faith costs us something? Daniel teaches us that real faith doesn't change its routine based on circumstances. When the pressure increased, Daniel didn't hide his faith. He continued it. He didn't pray because it was safe. He prayed because it was right. He didn't serve God because it benefited him. He served God because God was worthy, regardless of the consequences. Your lion's den might not be literal lions. It might be a diagnosis that terrifies you. It might be a financial crisis that surrounds you with fear. It might be a workplace where your faith makes you a target. It might be a relationship where standing for what's right costs you dearly. It might be a season of life where you feel completely alone and surrounded by threats you can't control. But here's what Daniel discovered, and what we can discover too. God doesn't always keep us out of the lion's den. Sometimes he meets us in it. Sometimes the miracle isn't avoiding the trial, it's finding God faithful in the middle of it. Sometimes the testimony isn't that we never faced danger, but that we faced it with unshakable faith. Daniel could have compromised. He could have prayed in secret. He could have rationalized that God would understand. But he knew something crucial. The moment you start hiding your faith is the moment you start losing it. The moment you start compromising is the moment you start weakening. Daniel chose to trust that God was bigger than the consequences. So here's the challenge Daniel leaves us with. Will you keep your window open? When the decree comes down that makes your faith inconvenient or costly, will you close the curtains and pray in secret? Or will you, like Daniel, continue to live your faith openly, trusting that the God you serve is able to rescue you? Faith in the lion's den isn't blind optimism. It's not pretending the lions aren't there. It's not denying the very real danger surrounding you. Faith in the lion's den is knowing that the God who made the lions is bigger than them. It's trusting that the same God who shut the mouths of lions for Daniel can deal with whatever threatens you. And here's something beautiful. When you trust God in your lion's den, you don't just experience his faithfulness for yourself. You become a testimony that changes others. King Darius went from issuing a decree against prayer to commanding an entire empire to reverence Daniel's God. Your faith in your hard moment might be exactly what someone else needs to see to find faith for their hard moment. Daniel's story reminds us that we serve a God who specializes in impossible situations. We serve a God who shows up in dark places. We serve a God who can turn a death trap into a testimony. We serve a God who is with us not just on the mountaintops, but in the valleys. Not just in the palace, but in the pit. Not just when we're surrounded by friends, but when we're surrounded by enemies. So whatever lion's den you're facing today, tomorrow, or in the days to come, remember Daniel. Remember that faith doesn't mean you won't be afraid. It means you'll trust God even when you are. It doesn't mean you won't face trials. It means you'll face them knowing you're not alone. It doesn't mean the lions aren't real. It means the God who controls the lions is real too. and He's on your side. Keep your window open, keep praying, keep trusting, and watch what God will do. Because the same God who rescued Daniel is still in the business of shutting lions' mouths, opening impossible doors, and turning testimony out of trials. Your den might be dark, but His light is brighter. Your lions might be fierce, but your God is fiercer. And your faith, even when you're surrounded, is never in vain. May you have faith in the lion's den, and may you discover, as Daniel did, that you're never truly surrounded when God is with you.